Sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones about ghosts or monsters. They're about the real-life shadows we can encounter when we least expect it. So today, we're going to break down a really chilling, real encounter that happened on a deserted holiday night. We're going to explore not just what happened, but the psychology behind it. What happens when every single instinct in your body is screaming danger, but you just can't move?
So let's just jump right in. The whole thing starts on Thanksgiving night. And with just that one line, you get this profound sense of isolation, don't you? A simple cough, a sound you make every day, suddenly feels like it belongs to someone else. It's this chilling premonition that maybe, just maybe, you're not actually alone. And here's the thing, this encounter doesn't kick off with some obvious movie-style threat. It starts with a bunch of small, totally ordinary decisions. A promise made to a friend, a simple errand to run. These are the kinds of choices we all make every day. But on this particular night, they all started to stack up, unknowingly creating this perfect storm of vulnerability.
Let's just look at all the factors at play here. She's not just walking home. She's sick, physically weak from a virus. Her hands are completely full. She's juggling a bowling ball, rackets, a backpack, leftovers. And on top of all of that, it's 9 p.m. on a major holiday. The streets are empty, help is nowhere to be found. Now, if you're a predator, every single one of these things signals an easier target. And then you have the setting itself, which becomes a huge character in this story, a completely empty bus station. That kind of total isolation isn't just spooky. For someone who's looking for a target, it's basically an invitation. It means no witnesses, and it makes any chance of escape way more complicated.
So the stage is set. She's vulnerable, she's alone, and now the main event begins. What might seem like just a weird, uncomfortable social moment is actually something way more calculated. Let's really deconstruct how a predator makes their very first move.
She saw him and actively tried to create distance, choosing a totally empty part of the station. But he just walked straight toward her, completely ignoring that obvious social cue, and sat right next to her. This is such a critical moment. It's the first deliberate violation of personal space. It's an immediate giant red flag that says, the normal rules of society, they don't apply to me.
And then, of course, it escalates. It goes from just being too close to unwanted, aggressive physical contact. And that word tight, that says everything, doesn't it? This isn't some friendly gesture. No, this is about control. So you have to wonder, why do it like this? Why this slow, creepy series of violations instead of just a direct attack? Well, it almost feels like he's running a test. And in a way, that's exactly what's happening. The technical term for this is boundary testing. He wasn't just being creepy for the sake of it. He was actively collecting data. By sitting too close and then by putting his arm around her, he's testing her. He's trying to see how much she'll resist, how compliant she'll be, and her quiet, frozen reaction? Well, that gave him the answer he wanted. Okay, so this whole situation is escalating, and that brings us to the next phase of this encounter. And here, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful, and honestly one of the most misunderstood, reactions our bodies have when faced with extreme fear. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that terrifying battle going on inside her head. Her brain is screaming, every alarm bell is going off, but her body just won't listen. It's a kind of disconnect that's really hard to wrap your head around if you've never been through it.
Which, of course, leads to the question that so many people ask when they hear stories like this. From the outside looking in, it seems so simple, right? Just scream, just run. But the reality of how our brains are wired is so much more complicated than that. The answer is something called the freeze response. And here's the absolute most important thing to understand about it. It is not a choice. It's not cowardice. It's an involuntary survival instinct that's hardwired into our brains right alongside fight or flight. Her brain essentially took over and hit the emergency brake, paralyzing her body while it tried to process this overwhelming threat.
This right here just lays out that huge, powerful disconnect perfectly. Her conscious mind is yelling, run, scream, fight, but her body's ancient survival software has slammed on the brakes. She literally becomes a passenger in her own body, forced into this quiet compliance by just overwhelming, paralyzing fear.
And because of that paralysis, the threat is now mobile. He's not just some guy at the bus station anymore. He's attached himself to her. He follows her onto the bus and then follows her right off at her stop, making it terrifyingly clear this is not over. But then, something shifts. As the danger becomes absolutely undeniable,
Her mind starts to fight its way back to the surface. So this next part is all about that final, desperate gamble for safety, when that freeze response finally starts to thaw. What's just amazing is that even in this state of pure terror, her brain is formulating a plan. She has a destination, her workplace, and she's assessing its assets, cameras, security, people. But what's so telling is the incredible risk she had to take. To get to that safe place, she had to go through an even more secluded, more dangerous area first. It was a total long shot, an all-or-nothing bet. And this is the moment everything hinges on. It's not skill, it's not strategy, it's just pure dumb luck. A completely random event that creates a tiny window of opportunity that didn't exist even 1 second before. And boom, in that split second, the paralysis shatters. The signal from her brain finally connects with her body, and she moves. All of the terror, all of the desperation, just channeled into one single, powerful action. She pulled free, and she ran. She gets inside, slams the heavy door shut behind her, and just 2 seconds later, bang! The handle rattles as he pounds on the door from the other side. And that sound is the confirmation of everything. It's the sound of absolute rage, the sound of a predator who just had their prey slip right through their fingers.
Okay, so the immediate physical danger is over. She's safe. But the story is not over, not even close. Now we have to look at the aftermath, because the brain has a very specific and often very cruel way of remembering trauma.
And this is so important to understand. Trauma isn't some straight line that you just walk away from. The brain, to protect you, can file it away, bury it deep so you can function. But triggers, something as simple as a holiday, can bring it all rushing back, just as intense as the day it happened. That echo is always there. And that really leaves us with a final, sobering thought. This was the story of one person on one night. But it makes you think, doesn't it? About all the stories we never hear, all the close calls that go unreported, and the silent battles people are fighting long after the threat is gone. It just makes you wonder, how many shadows do we walk past every single day?